All right, so back at the LS Jeep swap here. Um, Basically, got a bunch done. Didn't get to record all of it because my 6-year-old decided he was going to use the camera and unplugged it and the battery died. So that's just the way that was. I thought it had a good battery and I was recording nothing, so that's good. Basically, what I've done since the last update was get the exhaust on. So this has Cook's long tubes. They actually make a kit for JK Jeeps that are swapped, but the kit is not designed for this swap kit, so there's some interference. Really not a big deal, stuff that can be easily fabricated and made to work. I'll give a quick view, kind of see some stuff from here, and then I'm going to do a walk around and talk about what I did to make it fit. So we'll do that right now. So yeah, here we go. So you can see the kit right here is actually pretty nice. It's 3-inch, mandrel bent all the way back. The kit was missing a few things, like no clamp here, so I had a clamp and put it on. It's not that great. But I also stitch welded it in just to keep it from moving, which is fine. This whole piece can come out without an issue. This clamp is one of those that came with the kit, and the slip fit, and it all worked. So that's good there. Came with an O2 bung in the collector here for the Y pipe, which is great for tuning, but they decided to put it here where an O2 sensor can't fit. So super convenient. So that's going to get plugged, and I'll be tuning with my sniffer on the dyno. This side would have been much better, but that's here nor there. Rear O2 placement. The whole kit came with one plug, but 5 O2 holes. So that was awesome. Obviously the front two I'm going to use with the narrow band, the stock ones, because I like to incorporate that into the tune, because that way it can control fuel trims as needed. So the areas that didn't fit, this had been previously modified for when he had some stock work done. Apparently he had a mom and pop shop and they hacked that all up. It was a mess, so I cleaned it up and painted it. I had to flip the bolt here because you can see how tight it is right there. There was interference. So the only issue with that is that now if you have to pull the upper control arm, the header has to come out. So that's really fun. But that's just the way it is. The motor mount on this side, we can kind of get in here and see, interfered completely with the headers themselves. So what I did is I had to notch the motor mount and move the mounting point for the adapter mounts that come with the kit, and you can get a good look at it here. You can see where it's been notched, all right, which would obviously weaken the mount. The mounts on the JK is like 1/8 inch thick steel that's been stamped into shape and then welded to the chassis. And it's, I'll be honest with you, I can, like with a wrench on there, I can bend it. The stuff is really flimsy, so it's hard to tell on this side, but what I did is I actually used another 1/8 inch plate. You can see the factory gusset here. The factory gusset on the other side is in place, and then I built another gusset that comes all the way up to here and makes it twice as thick, and then it's all stitch welded in, not only to the mount itself, but to the chassis, so that it's literally twice as strong as it was. And so you can see where the bolt here, they were symmetrical, but I've had to move that one down. The V8 swap kit comes with what appears to be 1/4 inch thick brackets. They are very strong, so I am not worried about them at all. They seem to be very well made, so that's good. But now you can see the clearance here, so that's good. The bolt here also interfered with the header, so I had to dimple the header a little bit and shorten the bolt length, and you can see that here. But now there is about almost 1/4 inch of clearance for motor movement. It will not interfere, it'll be fine now, and everything is in, so that works. And this is actually all the way forward, so if the motor actually needs to be slid back a little bit, it'll actually increase in clearance. So everything there is good. Yes, what else did I have to do? So this header on the passenger side actually fit without a problem, which was great. I did add some electrical heat tape so that, because this had factory loom on it and it was just crispy, it was just melted. This is a factory piece here, which is obviously was a good idea, but they really should have extended it. So I've done that, and we'll see how long these zip ties last. I've had good luck with them, so they will get brittle over time. If not, we can always replace them with metal. I have a ton of those. The only other thing I had to modify for this side is the crossover. So the crossover between passenger to driver to the Y-pipe wasn't even close. And I believe that's just because this is designed to work with another swap system, and so basically where everything lined up was just not quite right. But now there's plenty of room. Got a good half inch here, and then 1/4 inch down there. I had to add, let's see, I had to add about, I don't know, 3 inches. It was a wedge that I had to add, and I painted it black just because I did not use stainless filler, because it wasn't really warranted in this case. This is stainless. I did use stainless piping, but the welding filler was not stainless, so I hit it with some heat paint, some VHT, I believe is what I used. And then there's a clamp down there so that it can all come apart. Yeah, so that's where we are with that. The system actually looks really good. I'm actually impressed with how well it did fit. I know Cook's makes a good product. The fact that this product wasn't designed to work with this exact swap kit, and that I really only had to modify this small amount of stuff, is a good thing. So I was expecting to have to maybe, excuse me, even change like some of the runners, like tuck them in, and because I've had to do that on other swaps, V8 swaps, before where they were just not even close and they hit everything. But this took me about a day to install this full kit. So, and that includes, and when I say a day, it was like probably 5 hours of the work to install it, uninstall it, test fit it, modify the mount, modify this piece, and make it all work. So it's probably 4 or 5 hours worth of work, which is really not that bad considering. So yeah, I didn't get a lot of that on film, but it wasn't super exciting anyways. So today the goal is to hook up the evap system. So Motec actually makes an adapter type system to run all the GM evap control with the charcoal / evap canister from the Jeep. And so you can integrate that all in there so that the evap solenoid and evap system on the Chevy stuff works, including the pressure switch and evap valve itself. And then of course the solenoid is up on the engine, and that's what will basically put draw on the system and remove pressure from it. Yeah, so I'm going to work on that today. That, and then of course the accessories is the other part that I'd like to get squared away today. This system is designed to run the Jeep power steering, AC, and there's brackets that come with all of that. So I'm going to clean all this up, get everything organized that direction, and then set up the custom brackets and accessories. And if I can get that done today, that'll be good. The next step after that will be intake manifold goes back on, and then the wiring. So I'm going to drape the loom, hook everything up, get everything squared away that's kind of going to be under the chassis and difficult to get to, and then I'll be able to drop the body back down on the chassis. Yeah, and then at that point it's just some plugging up some stuff and squaring some things away. We are going to run the factory Jeep cooling system to start off. Some of that is due to just to see kind of what it does. I don't have a lot of faith in the Jeep radiator. So my plan is to probably do an upgraded aluminum Jeep radiator with some custom work to get all the piping, basically all of the radiator hoses. I'll do some of those out of aluminum most likely, and make that kind of work. And then probably a new T-stat or modified T-stat in here, so that we can get a little bit more coolant flow. And these tend to like come on like around 200. I think they're like 190 or 196 or something like that, which is super high. This GM stuff loves to run nice and cool. I put usually 160s in most of the LS swaps that I do, and then I command fans to come on in the tune at about 180. and stuff seems to run like between 182 and 178 then, and I have found that typically most of the LS swaps live forever right there, and they love it. They make great power, they have good fuel economy, like everything that you need from your LS swap, excuse me, is perfect. And you don't run into overheating issues and yada yada. And here in Florida, that's definitely a concern. So, yep, that's where we're at, and I'll have the camera up and kind of do some time-lapse stuff of me doing this, because a lot of it's going to be pretty boring. It's just me walking back and forth and putting bolts in and out and yada yada. So, yeah, that's where we're at, and here we go.